All right, Green Team, we are on the final step of navigating a contract to closing. We are so close to that sweet commission check. We just got a few more items we got to take care of. Everyone sign the keys and property stuff have all been transferred. We are headed back to the office. We just got a few things left we got to do before we can truly mark this transaction as done and start telling people how great of a realtor we are. So we are again in the last step, which is just finalizing a closing. And there are 5 parts here. First off, removing your sign and lockbox, filing your closing docs, then updating your revenue sheet, entering it in the MLS, and then getting paid. All right, so step 1. Now you've probably already done this prior to this point, but this would be the last chance to do this. We would need to go remove our sign and lockbox. This is part of finalizing the closing process. If we are the listing realtor, after the final walkthrough is usually a good time to do this, to take down your sign and to remove your lockbox. However, some people wait till the actual closing and then they go do it. So you'll take down your sign and then you'll go into your Super app and you'll click the little part there that you can see in the window here that says open shackle. You'll put in your code for your shackle. That'll let you actually take the top part off of the lockbox so you can remove it from the doorknob. Hopefully you've already got the keys out of it because you've already given it to the new buyers at closing. So this is kind of step 1 of finalizing your closing. You want to make sure our stuff is removed from the property. Also, just a pro tip here, good time to take a little photo and say closed or something like that while you're removing this stuff. Could be a good social media moment. So that's step 1. Step 2, we've got to file our closing docs. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop off the check with one of our staff members, whoever's at the front desk. If no one's at the front desk, we're going to drop it off with Sherry. Then we're going to take our files back. We're going to scan them, email them to ourselves through the scanner, and then we're going to add them into our property folder. Now we need to make sure that we have all the files that we need. And remember, the way that we do that is in our folder, we've got a property file checklist. We've been working through this the whole time, but now we're to the closed section. You'll see down here at the bottom. I've got my closed section, and this should tell me I've got a termite inspection that should be coming from title with my closing docs, a closing acknowledgement and release from title, an Alta settlement statement from title, and then it's going to tell me a couple other things, which we're going to go through in a second. But these are the 3 big pieces. The closing acknowledgement and release is actually the document that releases realtors from liability with the transaction. So it's saying it's signed by your clients that basically say they did a good job, they did everything I asked them to do. I'm releasing them so that they can actually get paid on this transaction. That document is what we look to actually pay you guys. So make sure you have all these documents. Now, a lot of title companies, I would say most title companies, are offering just to email you these documents instead of handing you the paper ones. I'm all for that. Get them emailed to you. Then it takes out the step of having to scan them and email them to yourself. You've got the email, you take them and you add them to your property file. Just kind of cuts one step out of the process. But you're going to check these off that all these files are actually in there. We're going to mark them as done. And then we're going to work on our next step. And our next step you saw on that page also is that we need to update our revenue sheet. Really key here. It's very simple to move something to closed in your revenue sheet. Do not copy and paste. Whatever you do, don't copy or cut and paste. Do not do it. All you have to do is use the drop down and walk you through exactly how to do it. So you can see our properties down here in our pending sales, 4021 Sam Gordon Drive. It's got all the info. When I close it, all I have to do is scroll up to my closed sales section. I'm going to click the drop down on the next blank, and I'm just going to click the property. Boom, it's enclosed. I'm done. The amount over here should be the same amount that I'm expecting to get a check for, and I don't have to change anything else about it. This is what Destiny is looking at, or whoever our transaction manager is looking at. They're verifying that this is in the closed section of your revenue sheet. That's all you have to do. Don't copy, cut, and paste. It'll get you into all kinds of trouble. I do want to point you to one little piece here. Your revenue sheet does do an estimate of taxes for you as you go throughout the year. So keep in mind, you can always look at that because we're not keeping taxes out of your checks. So you'll be the one responsible for paying your taxes in the next year. So that's a good point of something to look at. And basically we calculate 20%, but you could update that cell to be whatever you wanted. That would be more appropriate for what you pay in taxes. but it's just a quick reminder that this commission check has your tax liability inside of it that you'll want to hold out of it. Okay, so that is how I update my revenue sheet, which was also on my contract. Sorry, my contract. Lost it. On my property file checklist here. There it is. And then, so I've done that. My next thing that I need to do is to make it closed in the MLS. Now, again, this will only be if you're the listing agent. You'll make it closed in the MLS, but let me show you how to do it. So I'm just going to pretend I have this property here, which is actually already closed, but I just want to show you the form. I'm going to go to my add edit, select my property, and I'm going to come in here to change to sold. You'll see the options sold price because we now can publicly say what the house actually sold for, not just what the last list price was. It's now public information. So we're going to put what it actually closed for. We're going to put today as our closing date. The pending date when it went under contract should already be in here. Whether it was a co-op sale, which just means whether we had another realtor on the other side. The loan type, all of these yellow columns or yellow boxes are obviously the required spots. Seller concessions would be if someone offered closing costs or even a home warranty or something like that. We want to put the amount that the seller gave in concessions because that has an effect with our comp analysis. And remember, we're part of an MLS where we're working with all other realtors that are part of this MLS. So we need to have accurate information because we want them giving us accurate information so that we can make the same responsible decisions when we're helping advise potential sellers on what their house may sell for. Okay, so we're going to enter in all this information. You can also enter in additional info here that you can see that there's additional pieces that you can put in here. The yellow boxes are the key, and then we're going to submit it as a sold listing. So that's how I update the MLS. I'm going to show you one more thing that can be helpful that not a lot of agents do, but if you go into your transaction desk at this point, you can select these three little dots on your transaction. And I can actually go up here to change transaction status. And I can move it from open, and I could have moved it to pending when it went pending, and now I can move it to closed. The way this helps is if once you move it to closed, it'll pop out of your list of transactions. So it keeps your list of transactions a little bit cleaner, and you can always review it later and it'll be in your closed transactions. So it's a good little step to take. It's not something we require as an office, but it is a good step for keeping your transaction desk nice and cleaned up for that. Okay, let's go to our next step and see what we got to do next. So we've updated our revenue sheet. We've filed our closing our docs. So then we are on the step of getting paid. So we've done everything we have to do. Our property file checklist is completely checked. I've already updated the MLS. I picked up my Simon Lockbox. This is another step. I need to order my personal marketing campaign. This is a great time to do it while you're waiting on the file to get checked. You can just go to tpmco.com. Once you set up your profile, it takes about 2 minutes to add a new client to it. So what I like to do is I like to tell our staff, hey, my folder's done. Let me know once you've checked it and if I'm missing anything. And then I'm going to go to TPMCO. In the meantime, I'm going to sign up my client for it. And it's going to send 5 years of follow-up for $25. It's going to follow up with these clients for 5 years, just sending nice little tips and stuff through the mail, including new address labels as they move in. And it's just a really nice way to follow up with people very easily for not a lot of money. So this is a great time to do this and go ahead and order your marketing campaign while staff is checking your file for you. So if you are closing on a Friday, you'll get a paper check at this point once staff verifies that your closing has been properly done and your folder is correct. Or if it's a day other than a Friday, then you'll get a direct deposit put into your account. Now you are done with the closing process. Is a great time to go promote it to the world, let everybody know. I guess I could make a series now on how to spend the money, but I think you guys will figure that out on your own. But keep in mind, this whole series has been based off of really this one form, which is the between contract and closing form. There's a buyer side and a seller side. If you will use this, once your property goes under contract, fill out all the info. As you go through each of these dates, click off your boxes. The dates will be built for you here, and type in when stuff happens. When you're typing your update, you just type in your dates over here. And then at the very end, it's going to tell you keys to buyer. So you've gotten everything done. You got to the closing table. Everyone's happy. We've already done everything. And then you're going to do these steps that we just talked about today, finishing up your property file checklist and letting staff know that your file's up to date. Once you do all of those steps, you get paid and you're ready to go work on your next real estate transaction. Hope this helps, and I hope plenty of you guys are watching this video because you're closing so many properties that you're just finalizing closing after closing. Clean files get you paid faster, makes the staff happy, makes you happy, and make sure that we're compliant with the OREC. So hope everyone enjoyed this process of contract to closing. It's one of the most important parts of being a realtor, is being able to get something from under contract to closing. And it's something that we track percentages on to see your success rate, and stuff's going to bust. It's just going to happen. It's part of being a realtor. But the better you can understand the process, the more of those potential fires you can avoid, and the more money you end up making in the end. Thank you for watching this series on contract to closing, and make sure you check out our next series.